Hey everyone, and welcome back to Digitally Twisted Outlaws. And also, happy 1,400 subscribers. We're doing it. Shoot, not that long ago, we were nowhere near 1,000. And all of a sudden, poof, up it went, and it's freaking awesome. Okay, as you can see before here, we're doing a little back blast from the past. I don't know why that was so hard to say. And this is also, I don't want to call it the official response, but it is by request from one of my subscribers and probably a few others. Kind of response to Shad's most recent video. Look how happy that guy is. He's a happy guy. Most recent one where he says, I spent too much money making a functional giant sword, part 2, materials and planning. So I was listening to this weekend, I was driving around, and I was listening to him say a couple points up, and also listening to this guy Tyrant, having them just go back and forth. And something came to mind that people kept asking over and over and over and over again. What constitutes a giant sword? What makes a sword a giant sword? And I always tell everybody it's an impact weapon. It's something that at first I said 38, but really it's something that's 40 pounds and up that can utilize its weight in order to unleash more of an impact upon the target in such a way that even if the blade doesn't cut through the target, it still puts enough force into it that it does traumatic, if not fatal, damage. Now, I have done a lot of training with my Dragonslayer. I've beaten the crap out of it. Destroyed, that bucket's like one of the least things I've destroyed. I destroyed wood. I destroyed wooden frames. I destroyed bed frames. I've destroyed tables. I've destroyed vacuum cleaners. I just trust a lot of things. And most recently, I put it up against modern body armor, which I'm going to release the videos on that one starting next week, piece by piece, because it's very fascinating what happened. But generally what it is that the constitutes a giant sword. It has to be 40 pounds and up, capable of unleashing all of its weight upon an object, impacting it, smashing it. But also what constitutes a giant sword is it's so thick and durable. Its thickness, its weight, also makes it durable to such a point that it can withstand all this damage that's unleashing. That it can take a huge beating and still hold its edge, still hold its lethality without being lost. Now, people might mean like, David, what do you necessarily mean by that? So I'm going to do this little video right here. This video, Adam, he's the guy that made my sword, PrettyHateMachining. You look him up. By the way, he's like super backlogged on swords that he's making for other people. He runs an Etsy page, fantastic. But he demonstrates what constitutes a giant sword, like for its handle as well right here, by banging the handle and show that it's very, very durable. I believe in this video he strikes it 50 times and it only bends 14. And so there's the handle, roughly about the same thickness of mine, welded onto a piece of steel, obviously held down by 2 clamps and also welded at the end, and it shows just how thoroughly powerful this thing is. It's like a 300-pound guy beating the crap out of it. And he does this a bunch of times. I don't do it too many times though. And just bang, 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 bangs it. Now, are you likely, and the easy comparison would be if you took the 40-pound Dragonslayer and you had like a giant chunk of steel. It's like a big solid piece of steel, right? Just, it'd have to be at least 200 pounds of steel, right? Take my 40-pound, I'd have to just sit there, bang, bang, bang. But even then, that wouldn't be an accurate assessment because the blade would cut into it. So then some of the shock absorption would be still inserted onto the steel as the blade bites into it and not thoroughly through the handle. So why am I bringing this up? Again, because a giant sword has to be something at least 40 pounds, able to be utilized, okay? Not like something like, oh, this is a one-handed, because right now I really don't think the human body could just handle an actual 40-pound sword and swing it. It has to be full-body ballistic movements. That's what the Colossus sword form I developed is based upon. Full-body ballistic movements. And it has to be able to damage objects, okay? It can't just be this silly thing that's for ceremony that some of this. Now, this is a 20-pound sword. Someone might call it, well, that, David, is that not a giant sword? No, because it's not able to put so much damage and impact upon the items that it hits. Adam's a 300-pound guy, very strong. He obviously made it. This version right here he's wielding is a 20-pound one. It just doesn't have enough weight yet to really devastate the targets that it's hitting. Let me play again and show for an example. Boom. Now, it still moved it. But it didn't really pulverize and destroy it. Now, imagine if he had done that with this beast. And he had trained, practiced. It would have smashed right through it. And that's what differentiates and separates giant swords from swords that are just large in size. And I bring that up because with Shad's sword, it's not really so much a giant sword. And I don't believe in this word functional. That's plenty functional. As is this 20-pound one right here. Plenty functional. Shad's sword, he's trying to make it about the same weight of a regular Zweihander. Probably he's trying to, the way he's designing it, probably trying to make at least 10 to 15 pounds. And it's just not going to have the durability and strength to withstand this type of abuse and this use. Like, giant swords are supposed to be developed to withstand and give a lot of abuse, a lot of impact, just get completely beat up. You just can't do that. And Shad does mention it. In this one right here, he does mention that, in this particular part right here, what I'm saying, the weight. The weight is also what gives this giant sword its strength.
I can already predict, though, that if this sword ends up being super light, and this is the one-handed sword, for the large carbon fiber, giant sword, the Titan sword, there might be enough overall weight to mitigate this issue. But if the one-handed sword we do, I expect that could end up being so light that there's not going to be enough momentum for it to carry it through more solid targets. Yeah. And so
you need weight in order to get through solid objects. The whole purpose of a giant sword is to outperform these when it comes through smashing and delivering impact blows. That's the whole purpose of a giant sword. If you don't have the weight and you don't have the mass, the solid hardened steel mass, not carbon fiber, you just don't have that weight, you don't have the impact. It's not a giant sword. So here is a video about these guys taking, this is a carbon fiber, and again, this isn't an accurate depiction because carbon fiber isn't designed to get beaten up like a sword. Like, okay, a sword is not going to be like this, or like a bike frame where it's just ridden on, or like a drive shaft where it just, it has forces placed upon it, but it's really more like twisting forces that spin around. Carbon fiber wasn't really designed to have all this impact over and over and over and over and over again. We're talking about like thousands of times. Like, swords really are utilized, not hundreds if not thousands of times, and they're supposed to at least keep their consistency, the durability, stay in one piece without falling apart. And doing the carbon fiber route, especially when you're building it's a frame sword. It's a large sword. It's a Titan sword. It's definitely a Titan sword. I'll give you that. But it's not a giant sword. And using the word functional, it's like, it's not really going to function the way you want it to, the way a giant sword's supposed to. Anyways, let me get back to the point of my carbon fiber. My carbon fiber point was that he's really heavily relying on it a lot. And even if he gives up on carbon fiber, like this one right here, it's 20 pounds. Bike frames also lots lighter, and it's a 20-pound boom drive shaft, and then the other one is 39 pounds, which is the actual real full steel drive shaft. And the purpose of me bringing this up is that you have to have the weight, you have to be able to unleash that impact, deliver the blow, be able to smash through heavy, hard objects, and also keep the durability. It's just, I could guarantee you take this drive shaft that's steel right now and bang it up against something, do the same thing with this carbon fiber, it's not going to last up. And people will be like, well, yeah, of course, the drive shaft, you're not supposed to bang it up against somebody. Carbon fiber, my point is, carbon fiber is not meant to be banged up and bludgeoned up against things. It's not. It's supposed to hold together shapes like this, take certain forces, or make the whole material or frame of something lighter, but not actually be something that's giving and taking impact. And even if he does aluminum is also going to bend out of shape too. So what's going to be happening is he's probably going to have to do steel, and that steel is going to get heavy. And even then, since the steel It's not like a frame. It's not going to absorb that repeated impact over and over and over again. You need a solid chunk of steel in order to be able to really withstand those repeated impacts and then keep its integrity and keep its shape. Otherwise, it's going to be all over the place. So I get what Shad's trying to do. It's very ambitious. It's definitely a Titan sword. I'll even give him a little thumbs up. There you go, Shad. Thumbs up. But I do not call it a giant sword. I sure as heck don't call it a functional giant sword. People can disagree with me. They can hate me all they want, but it's not a giant sword. It's a Titan sword. He named it correctly. It is large in size, but it's not what constitutes a real giant sword. I mean, that's just the way it is. And honestly, I think we have more. I have a lot of people now that are training that tell me all the time they're training. They're following my Colossus forums. There's other people doing stuff too. And the community is building up. I mean, we have the abilities to wield the sword. We have the technology. We have the understanding. We have the supplements. We have the good lifestyles. We have the healthy eating. We could do it. I mean, unless Klaus Schwab gets what he wants and we're all forced to eat bugs and live horrible lives. But as of right now, we're able to do that. So I think Shad is developing something very fantastic and interesting, but I would never call it a giant sword. And because it just doesn't fall in the category. It doesn't have the weight. It doesn't have the ability for impact. It doesn't have the durability. It doesn't have the weight capacity and force capacity to deliver heavy blows, and also to deliver hundreds, if not thousands, of blows through heavy objects and still keep its shape, integrity, form in place. Now, a blade can get beat up. A little edge can be lost, and then it can be repaired, sharpened. But it should be able to withstand so many without falling apart, losing its integrity or its entire structure, which I don't think this is going to be able to do. It's interesting. It's a good start, but in the end, it doesn't replace hardened steel. Carbon fiber, aluminum, titanium would be super expensive, and even then, it's durable. It would not maintain an edge. It's just not a functional giant sword. I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that to be honest. All right, Outlaws and everyone else, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.